What's up, guys? It's Dynasty the Mountaintops back again. Week before the draft, a couple days before the draft. Super excited. I'm in Pittsburgh. Jeremy's in Pittsburgh. Draft's in Pittsburgh. So it is an insane weekend. Jeremy, how you doing tonight, man?
I am elated. This is the first big NFL thing since the free agency opened up. I'm ecstatic. I'm looking for fresh content. I'm looking for fresh material. And what better way than to see the future of our dynasty teams?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty stoked that it's in Pittsburgh. So you going down?
I will not head down. I enjoy a good NFL draft. I even enjoy a decent crowd. But 700,000 people is a little too much for me. It seems like it's a little bit too big of a crowd. I will enjoy the draft at home on my television with a nice glass of beer.
Absolutely the same will happen for me as well. Anyway, enough about whatever we're doing for the draft. We are here to talk about little bits of news. However, the number one thing we're really here to talk about is the 3-round mock draft, or rookie mock draft, prior to the NFL draft. So this is before we see the landing spots that we always talk about matter, the draft capital, what's going to happen. This is where last year we would have had Shador in the first round more than likely before that capital. I just use him as an example because his was the capital that changed the greatest, I felt like. Not trying to say anything negative on him today. Okay. So moving on, we're going to talk about that for most of it. However, there was one big piece of news that happened this past week. Cincinnati trades their number 10 overall pick for this year to the New York Giants in exchange for Dexter Lawrence. I thought this was kind of crazy because you let Trey Hendrickson go and then bring in another defensive player who, in my opinion, isn't as good as Trey Hendrickson. But I know we differ on this, so I'd love to hear your opinion.
No, we differ on this ever so slightly. I mean, it's a gamble the Cincinnati Bengals did. I mean, that's let's not sugarcoat it. It's a huge gamble. If last season's numbers for Dexter Lawrence was a start up at decline, the Bengals made a huge miscalculation. But I think they're basing this off of change of scenery, loss of Trey Hendrickson, and their miscalculation again of Trey Hendrickson staying within a division and going to the Ravens. I don't think they saw that one coming, to be honest with you. But now you have a situation where you have TJ Watt in the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns, and you got Trey Hendrickson for the Ravens. The Bengals had Trey Hendrickson and lost him. They didn't have anybody to say, okay, well, I'll see your star defensive player and raise you one. They haven't been able to do that. Now, I know that there was a lot of projections of them hoping to get Caleb Downs in the draft. I know Sonny Styles was something that they discussed stuff, but look, these are names that not only the Cincinnati Bengals are looking for. These are names that are rumored that could be potential suitors of a trade up. And the Bengals are sitting there at 10 and not wanting to move up any further. So I think they looked at this as an opportunity to make a splash, kind of focus on this win now approach that the GMs were talking about, and getting 2 years younger and a defensive player, giving him a fresh contract.
Yeah, I mean, I understand once you lose Trey Hendrickson you got to get somebody, and I've been saying for over a year now that this draft is one of the lower drafts. Now there's a lot of defensive options, but to the caliber of a Lawrence, a Garrett, a Watt, Hendrickson, there's not that many players, and they're picking at 10, probably not going to be able to get one of those studs, right? And Caleb Downs would be a great pick for them. However, it's not the same thing that we're talking about, is that pass rush all the time, go get the ball kind of player. He's more like that all-around safety who may be there for them. But I want to turn it kind of on the other side now. What do you think about the Giants? I mean, this is a great move, in my opinion, for the Giants, but because now they have 2 top 10 picks. and that they can really have fun with, in my opinion. Number 5, I believe, and number 10 now. Does this open up some different ideas in your thought process that do you think now it's definitely going to be wide receiver in one of these to help out Neighbors? Or I always thought it was going to be a wide receiver at 5, but now it could be 10. So what are your thoughts about that side of it?
I think you nailed it. I think this is overall a better move for the Giants than the Bengals, because the Bengals, again, it's trenched in gamble. It's trenched in risk. If it pays off for this sexy Dexy, it's going to pay off tremendously. But if it doesn't pay off, it's a huge miss by them. The Giants, on the other hand, are in a fantastic position to get this. We're not talking 2 firsts. We're talking 2 top 10 firsts. There's some serious talent in the top 10, top 15. If you're looking at this on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, I understand that the draft has been dragged through the mud a little bit, and rightfully so from what I've been seeing. But in the same sense, if you try to take the shades off of the dynasty aspect for just a little bit defensively and offensive line aspects, this is a pretty solid draft. Now, the Giants just lost Sexy Dexy. So now they're going to be in need of a defensive player. And also, their numbers last year did reflect that they could use some defensive help. But I do believe you nailed it on the head. I think this now opens them up to take a defensive player, one of these top defensive players, a Sonny Styles, a Caleb Downs, with the 5 pick, and then focus on the offensive side of the ball with the 10th pick. I do think that they want to tackle one of these wide receivers in the class that we're going to talk about here momentarily. I do think there's a possibility in a real-life scenario that Tyson falls to them. I do know that they like Tyson. So we'll see what happens. But I do think that they now utilize this to fill in the hole that Dexter Lawrence is now leaving, and to fill in the hole of a little bit of help for Malik Neighbors. So I think that this is exactly what you said. I think this is a coin flip. One side of that coin is going to be offensive player, one kind of side of the coin is going to be defensive player, and they're going to take one of each.
I love it. Makes a lot of sense. And Caleb Downs still might be the number 10 overall pick. Let's not get that twisted. It is John Harbaugh, and he had a great safety in his disposal in Baltimore, so I'm sure he wants to find something similar, which he could in Caleb Downs.
It's a very good point you bring up there, too, because he's going to have to pass up Caleb. I know he likes Caleb Downs. And if he decides to go Sonny Styles or somebody else at the 5, he's going to have to technically pass up Caleb Downs twice, and I just don't see him doing that. So there's a very possibility that they take defense twice with the side of this 2 top 10 picks. I do not see them doing offensive both ways. I see this is at most split for our fantasy purposes.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what their draft capital looks like for the Giants, but in the second round, there's going to be a lot of good wide receivers still out there. There might be 5 or 6 taken in the first round, but they're probably picking high in the second round if they have their second round pick. I don't have that information on me, but
pulling up right now, sir.
Yeah, second, third round, they could find a good wide receiver to complement Neighbors as well. So maybe they do go 2 defensive. What this does is it opens up a lot of options for the Giants. And obviously Love's on the table as well, from what everyone says.
Right. And there's a little bit more likelihood, in my opinion, that they take Love now that they got 2 picks. Because, again, by having a 2 top 10 picks, it opens up a lot of things. And to clarify what we've been talking about here, they actually have 3 picks in the top 37, and then they have a fall off. They don't have any picks in round 3. So they go pick 5, pick 10, pick 37, and then pick 105. So they have a decent gap by missing that 3rd round, but to substitute that with 3 picks in the top 37, I think they really could do well this year.
So a Sarad, a Braswell will probably be in that area. So they could go 2 defensive players, top 10, and then get a good wide receiver in the second round. So that it opens up their options. Is again the thing that I see the most, which is great for any team, but especially when you're trying to get out of the seller basically of your division, and have a pretty good young nucleus there as well. So, great move for the Giants. I think we'll see what happens with the Bengals. But of course, we talked too much about we over talked about the trade, but it had a lot of good information for it. So we are going to get into the 3-round mock rookie draft now, and we're going to start it off. You're going to be odds, so you're going to do 1, 3, 5, 7 odd numbers, and I will do the evens 2, 4, 6, 8. Things like that. We won't finish that phrase. So I'll leave it to you to pick number 1 overall.
Hey, first pick overall, I think it's very obvious. We're going to go with Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. Totally kidding. I have to see your reaction. We're going Jeremiah Love. There's really nothing more to say about this. He's the elite 3-phase prospect in this draft. He clocked in a 4.36. He's a top 5 selection. With coming in with comps like Alvin Kamara and Jahmyr Gibbs, it's a no-brainer. Jeremiah Love at the 1-1.
Yeah, no-brainer, absolutely. I think every single mock draft, unless you have no quarterback, and even then, I think you take this guy number 1 overall if you have it. So 100% agree with you. Number 2, same thing. I think it's a tier of 1, and then we get to have some fun in 3 through whatever you want to call it. But Fernando Mendoza is my number 2 overall. Most years, your number 1 overall quarterback is probably going to be your number 1 pick, especially with how good I think Mendoza is. This is just a special year. This is like Bijan Robinson. This is like we talked about Genti last year. Love is in that caliber from what it sounds like, from everything we've heard, from everything we've seen on tape as well. So I have Fernando Mendoza at number 2, the quarterback out of Indiana. Oh, and Las Vegas Raider, by the way.
No, yeah, great call. Yeah, great call. I think it's very obvious.
Even though he's not quite there yet, he's there. So.
Good call. I can't complain. My pick 3 in this draft is going to go to Cornell Tate. My favorite wide receiver out of this class. He's highly polished, pro-ready Z wide receiver who has elite route running and has an 85.7% contested catch rate. Makes him a high floor target capable of moving the chains at all 3 levels. Cardinal Tate, my favorite wide receiver in this class.
All right, so that's where I kind of thought you were going, so I didn't even pay attention to Tate. I'm going to take my number 1 wide receiver in this class, not my favorite, but my number 1, in Jordan Tyson. If he's healthy, if he doesn't have the injury concerns for the last 3 years, 3 out of 4 years, this isn't even a question, in my opinion. I feel like Jordan Tyson is by far the best skilled wide receiver. There's just those worries about his injury concern. And in fantasy, you need to worry about that, obviously, but I'm also looking for as much upside as I can get. And with that, Jordan Tyson gives me the most upside, in my opinion. So Jordan Tyson's 104.
I like the selection. The health is there. You made the right call. I like it. In that case, I'm going to go with the 5th pick overall in Makai Lemon, the exceptional redefined inside the numbers technician wide receiver. He's great ball tracking, spatial awareness, and he's the Blitnikoff Award winner here back in 2015 as the nation's top receiver. He's 5'11". He has vertical speed that makes him kind of more slot only, but he also has the ability to fit on the outside. I'm going to go with Lemon as my pick number 5.
I like that pick. Now, let me ask you a question. If you had the 104 and the first 3 picks went as they did, would you have still taken Lemon, or would you have been like me and taken Tyson at that 104?
I think I would have taken Lemon still at this point. I am a big fan of the PPR machines, and that's exactly what Lemon is. And again, the Blitnikoff winner for the nation's top receiver is something that is impressive on a resume. I believe if I'm comparing the absolute skill set of the 2 wide receivers, Tyson wins by a hair. But to me, drafting somebody with the injury history that he has is makes it a little bit worrisome, especially when it comes to the hamstring. You worry about what kind of shape he's in and everything in between if he's not doing anything on those lines. I think I don't want to say it's necessarily a coin flip, but it's pretty darn close. But I'm still taking Lemon.
Okay. I was kind of curious where you had them. So you have Tate, Lemon, then Tyson, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay. So out of those three, I have Tyson, Tate, Lemon. So I actually have my 106 pick in front of two of those players, though. So I'll take Casey Concepcion, who I have as number 2 right now, my favorite player probably in this entire draft. I'm hoping that after Thursday, his draft stock falls very quickly. And the reason I say that is because he will be the number 3 wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But right now, we don't have that spot for him. So if he does end up as a 1 or a 2 on a team, he is just explosion in a body. I mean, in a can. He is he's so quick. He didn't come out fast, but he's quick. Very shifty, very good at returns as well, which is coming back into the game. So I have loved Casey Concepcion. And if you listen to us on a weekly or consistent basis, you already know this and you kind of knew where I was going. But no surprise, Casey Concepcion, the fourth wide receiver taken, 106.
I love the call about him going to Pittsburgh. It should be a fun watch. This is a tough one for me because I want to go with my heart on the next player, but I got to go with the head, and I know what you're going to do. So I'm already prepared for you to take the guy I'm not going to take. But for logistics here, I've got to stick with Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. The dude is 6'4". He's a red zone monster. And if I'm looking for any type of red zone aspects, I'm looking for no further than Denzel Boston.
I can't disagree with that pick. I have him a little bit lower on my board, but he's in that same tier as the guy I'm about to pick and another wide receiver from Indiana. So I completely understand that. However, I am going to take your guy because he's my guy too. Kenyon Sadiq at 108. If I come out of a draft with Kenyon Sadiq at 108, I am extremely happy. As long as he does not go to one of the 3 or 4 spots that would not be a great landing spot. And I can only think of like 3 or 4 places that would be. Arizona, Las Vegas. I guess you could throw in Indiana, maybe Chicago, and that's about it. I mean, he would supplant almost everybody else in the first 2 years, I would think. I am a huge fan of him. I have been on record saying he's going to be a top 5 tight end in the next 2 years in fantasy, and I am super excited for the speed at tight end for this guy.
I'm not going to say anything else about it because Sadiq's probably my favorite player in this entire draft class. I knew I was taking a gamble here, but again, I went with the red zone wide receiver versus the red zone tight end. So to be determined how that falls for me.
Honestly, I didn't want to do it to you. However, I'm going straight down my list, my board, and he's at 7, I think, maybe 6.
No, you did. My board, you did mean to do it. You did mean to do it. Because what our fans don't see is the Joker-like smirk you had on your face when you knew that I wasn't taking Sadiq in that following pick. So I don't want anything on that end.
I was
shocked. It's okay. You can have Sadiq because I hope it works for you. And I hope your team has a good bit of running back depth because I'm taking the first overall and now, in my opinion, the second best running back in this class in Jonah Coleman out of Washington. He's a compact route running, high floor bowling ball. He's 5'9", 220 of dense muscle, elite contact balance, which makes him a premier yards after contact running back. I think this is not the best running back class. So I want to take the best 2, in my opinion, of where they're at. So I'm going to take Jonah Coleman with my pick.
Interesting. That is a curveball, I will say. I did not have him as high as you did. So we're going to keep taking wide receivers since you started with the running backs. There's one more wide receiver that I have in that tier that I talked about with Sadiq and Boston, and that is Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. He's my number 7 player on the board, so getting him at 110.
I lost track.
Yeah, I believe we're at 110. Is very nice if you're able to get him at 110 or later. I feel like this is a steal. So we'll see after draft capital comes through, but it sounds like he's going to be a first round wide receiver, and we know how those kind of work out.
I like it. I'm gonna be smart here and just grab my tight end here. I'm gonna grab Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. He's the complete package. He's a former quarterback. He's an elite mismatch in the slot. I'm gonna take Eli Stowers here, who's the second best tight end in this class, and being that the first one was sniped from beneath me, knowing how much I enjoyed him, is vindictive and will be reminded upon him one day. But nevertheless, Eli Stowers, big fan of him, especially his first name of my son. Not that matters at all, but I'm taking Eli Stowers here.
No, yeah, I mean, if you're going to take a tight end, it's one of those two, in my opinion, and then you're waiting for a little bit. So I like the pick, especially if you need a tight end on your team. And when you're picking this late, you're just trying to finish the championship, right? If you're picking at 111, so that makes 100% sense. For me, this is the championship pick. Typically, unless you traded out of that to win the chip, I will take Chris Brazzell, another wide receiver. I think the wide receivers are a lot better than most any other position in this draft outside of Love and Mendoza and Sadiq. The top in each one. But after that, I think there's a lot of wide receivers that get taken now. Chris Brazzell, I'm worried about the helmet, and that's about it. Because 6'4" with speed, I really enjoy to have on my team. So hopefully he's not like the rest of the Tennessee Volunteer wide receivers who have come out and not done anything. Hopefully he is the changing of the guard on that helmet there. So Chris Brazzell, 112.
All right, so that puts me back. Where are we at here? 2-1.
2-1. Let's go through the first round real quick. I believe I have it pretty set here. Obviously it's Love, number 1, Mendoza, number 2. Then you went with Cornell Tate at 103. I had Jordan Tyson at 104. Mekhi Lemon at 105. Casey Concepcion, 106. Denzel Boston at 107. Kenya Sadiq at 108. Jonah Coleman, I believe, at 109. Omar Cooper Jr. at 110. Eli Stowers at 111. And Chris Brazzell at at 112, the championship pick. Moving on, we are going to the second round. Again, this is 3-round mock draft.
All right, so this has me at the 201. I'm going to take a wide receiver that I am enjoying to watch develop and looking forward to where he goes. Out of Indiana, wide receiver Elijah Surratt. He's a high-efficiency technician. He's a very productive possession receiver. He is an 85 overall PFF grade, which is one of the higher wide receivers on the PFF grade scale. He was a very big part of the Indiana championship run. He doesn't necessarily have that top end speed that would make him fall to you in the second round. But his 6'2" frame and his elite body control allow him to dominate, especially in the red zone. So I'm taking Elijah Surratt at 2-1.
All right, and this is the one pick that I never wanted to make and was hoping you weren't going to force me to make this pick. However, when a bunch are clumped together, in my opinion, in the same tier, I'm going to take the most important position and pray that guy works. So Ty Simpson, I'm going to take at the 202.
Double quarterback.
Well, don't forget, we're not picking for a team. This is just our best available players.
That's fine though. I like the call of Ty Simpson being the next best available for that. So okay.
Yep.
I am going to be a fan of the running back class a little bit more than most. I think I'm going to take the 1B to the 1A in Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love's counterpart, Jadarian Price. He's a home run hitter. He's built for a lead role. He just obviously didn't have that in Notre Dame. I like everything about him. And again, I think he's a little bit of a diamond in the rough just because he was behind Jeremiah Love. Him coming out at the same time, it's going to make it a little interesting here. So I'm going to go with Darian Price out of Notre Dame for the 2-3.
Very nice pick. I'm surprised he's actually this late. Most drafts, mock drafts that I've seen have had him in the late first or that 201. But it all matters of where these running backs go. I have to reiterate that fact so much. If one of these guys end up going to Seattle, it doesn't matter which one we talk about in the next 4 picks or who we already talked about. One of them go to Seattle, they are instantly my number 2 running back in this class and probably the 110, 111 pick in my eyes. So with that being said, I'm finally going to get into the running back market before you take them all. And I have been a fan of this guy, even though he plays on a team I hate, for a very long time now. Nicholas Singleton. And if he was able to be part of the combine, we'd be talking about him the same way people are talking about Mike Washington Jr. Because he is inhuman, the athleticism that this guy has. Now, if he can figure out the vision side of things, hopefully he learned something from Katron Allen in that aspect when they played there. If he could get a little bit better vision, he would be even higher on this board. But I take, like I said, again, I take the upside and the athleticism that this guy possesses, I think is unmatched in this running back class. Close to Mike Washington, but outside of that, unmatched between those two. So I'll take Nicholas Singleton.
I like Singleton. I like that pick. I'm a big fan of Singleton, so good work. I'm going to go back into our wide receivers here. I'm going to jump into the Georgia pool and grab Zachariah Branch. This dude is one of the fastest wide receivers in this draft class, and he's like a human joystick is what some of the analysts are calling him. He ran a 4.35 40-yard dash, and he has elite short area bursts. To me, makes him a nightmare for defenders to square up an open field. He's 5'9", 177. I think he's a day 2 prospect, but I think he's very comparable to, like, say, Zay Flowers, but a little bit faster. I'm looking forward to seeing where he lands, but I'm going to go with Zachariah Branch as my next pick.
You're not worried about the allegations and all the stuff that came out this past week? I don't know if you've heard the news.
No, I have not.
Yeah, he had some altercation. I can't remember what it was, but if we can pull it up, we could talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, he dropped down on my board once I heard that there might have been some questionable activities going on. But without that, I like this pick. Don't get me wrong. But once I heard that, he did fall a little bit on my board. Number 15 on my board, and we are at 17 now, so I say that's a win. I'm going to take the other insanely athletic running back. I had them back-to-back on my list, 14 and 15, so to get Mike Washington Jr. as well is a win for me.
Okay, 207. I'm going to stick with wide receivers here. I'm going to go Chris Bell out of Louisville.
You finally sniped me.
Finally, yay! If you want, we can trade him for.
You didn't snipe me that much.
Sadiq. Nice. Sorry, but I'm going to go with Chris Bell out of Louisville. To me, have a comp of Antoine Bolden, it's a monster comp to be a part of. So I like exactly where he's at. I'm sorry, I seem a little distracted here, but you had me thrown for a loop for the Zachariah Branch charges. It ended up being a misdemeanor.
Okay.
Let
It
me
just came
see
across
here.
my ESPN feed, and once I saw one player, only one player in that wide receiver class that is so deep, I was like, this might bother some teams, so it might make him fall a little bit. That's the only reason that he fell on my board.
Fair enough. No worries here. But yeah, I'm gonna go with. Sorry if I apologize. I apologize if I sniped you, but I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm going Chris Bell out of Louisville. I think he's going to be a great spot, no matter where he lands.
Yeah, you always look for that side speed combo that I was talking about with Brazel earlier, and he has that. He's coming off an injury, so that's kind of why he fell a little bit, in my opinion. I think he's a little bit better of a prospect, but with this jumbled mess that we have in the middle of the second round, I think that's why he ended up falling, was that injury concerns. I am going to go out on a way big limb and take somebody from Georgia State. Ted Hurst, who I absolutely think would have been in the right around the turn if he was not from Georgia State. If he played at a Big Five or even one of the more predominant mid majors, is how I say it in basketball, so that's what I'll go with. If he didn't play for one of the worst teams in football in the NCAA in Georgia State. So Ted Hurst, number 20 overall. That would be 208.
All right, before I pick on the 209 here, I just wanted to make a comment that we did some homework on the Zachariah Branch information, and it ended up not being a big deal as what we thought it was. It was obstruction of a law enforcement officer due to him not complying with the getting off of a sidewalk. The dude faced a $39 bond and is facing a misdemeanor. So, a little bit of news on Zachariah Branch we wanted to highlight. Mickey, you have any comments?
Yeah, I saw it come through ESPN, so usually it's more a bigger deal than that. I didn't look too much into it, but when you have, like I said before, when you have that many wide receivers, and one person
I
has
take the
something,
process. Yep.
you drop him from that the top of that tier to the middle or the bottom of that tier. That's pretty much what happened there. So I'm glad it's just a misdemeanor. Hopefully nothing happens throughout his career, and he'll be good to go.
All right, so on that note, I'm going to take 2-9. I'm going back to the running back well. I'm going to go with Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. I think he's a high-volume workhorse with three-down skills. That's why I kind of have him a little bit above some of these other running backs, and I want to take him at this spot here. While his 4.56-second 40-yard dash suggests he lacks game-making speed, he has 46 receptions in this last season. I do see him as a dual threat asset, comparable to say Kyron Williams. So I like him in a day two pick as well. So I'm going to go with Emmett Johnson here out of Nebraska.
I like that pick. Again, this is kind of where it's like pick your guys at this point, and hopefully one of them land, right.
Yes, sir.
So 211. Sorry, what is this? 210.
211. 210. Yes, 210.
Yeah, 210. I'm going to take Jeremy Bernard. It's not normal for us not to have an Alabama player sooner than 210 in a draft. So I'll take the first Alabama player. I'm sorry, the second Alabama player. We did have a quarterback from Alabama as well. So, but both in the second round. Shocking from Alabama. But he was top 20 on my board, and this is 210. So a little bit of a discount there.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm going to go with pick 211. I'm going to go wide receiver out of Notre Dame, Malachi Fields. He is a physically imposing 6'4" wide receiver out of Notre Dame who has elite body control, and he came in one of the higher vertical jumps at the combine of 38 inches. He's premier contested catch threat in this class. So I would comp him with a Michael Pittman or say even a Cortland Sutton. He's a reliable chain mover, and I'm going to take him with my 211.
I like that pick. I do. For me, I'm going to go back to the well of athleticism because, again, I go for upside. Usually athletes have an upside. And with that, Skylar Bell, super athlete with some hands. I'll take that all day out of UConn. He was 21 on my board. I'm getting him at 24. So pretty happy about that. And that is the end of the second round. We're not going to go through the whole thing until the end, but the second round picks were Elijah Surratt at 201, Ty Simpson, the quarterback of Alabama, at 202, Jadarian Price, the second running back from Notre Dame, at 203, Nicholas Singleton, the Penn State running back, at 204. 205 was Zachariah Branch. 206, Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas. 207, Chris Bell out of Louisville, wide receiver. 208, Ted Hurst out of Georgia State, wide receiver. 209, Emmett Johnson, the Nebraska running back. 210, Jeremy Renard, wide receiver out of Alabama. 211, Malachi Fields, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. 3 Notre Dame players in the first 3 rounds, I'm just going to say. And then to finish out the top 24, the 212, Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of UConn. So anything you wanted to talk about in the second round at all?
No, I think you called out a nice little plug there. 3 Notre Dame players in the top 24. I'm curious the last time that happened. Not that Notre Dame is not necessarily a well of wealth and knowledge when it comes to rookie prospects, but 3 out of Notre Dame's impressive.
Yeah, not so much the skill positions, like the offensive line, the defensive players, they have been, but 3 skill position players coming out of the draft, probably in the first 3 rounds, I would think. Pretty impressive from Notre Dame this year, even though they didn't make the playoffs. So you are up, sir, third round. These are the last 12 we're doing here. And you are up with 301, 25 overall.
301, I'm going to go with, in my opinion, the potential, I'm not calling it, but the potential to be this draft's Bucky Irving is Demon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. He is highly elusive. He's a twitched-up slasher type running back who's elite lateral agility. He came in at 4.37 on his track speed. I put him in comps of, say, like an Antonio Gibson in his prime. But like I said, the Bucky Irving would be the most comparable that I would like to give him. He's done heavy schemes. He's a pro ceiling. I think he's a day 2, if not an early day 3.
I like it. There's a lot of talk about Demon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. He's had a lot of talk around circles, or at least the podcast I've been listening to. A lot of people seem to like him, so that's a really nice pick. 301 there. At 302, I'm going to go with the other USC Trojan wide receiver, Jacoby Lane. Good size with hands. I mean, obviously he's going to be a different kind of target than Makai Lemon. Very different player than Jacoby Lane. So I think he's more of a red zone threat. Could find a good spot.
No, I like it. I had him next, so I don't want to necessarily say you were a snipe, but
give me the rifle.
Yeah, I gave you an unloaded one. Let's put it that way. All right. Well, no, I don't trust you. So for my next one here, I'm gonna go with Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. He's that quick slot technician. I do like my slot specialists. He has great football IQ and coverage awareness. That's been seen. It helps him settle into different voids and stuff against zone looks. So he's definitely against the zone defense type wide receiver. He ran a 4.41 40-yard dash, and he had a 39.5-inch vertical at the combine, which are 2 dynamic athletic profile skills. I do put him again at a day 2, day 3 selection. I'm going to go with Antonio Williams, wide receiver. Clemson.
I like it. It makes sense. Good route running, athleticism. I like that combo there. Now I'm going to go back to the tight end and take Max Clare out of Ohio State, not for the Ohio State year, but for the Purdue year, where he was the be-all everything for Purdue for a year or two. Max Clare, tight end out of Ohio State. And you are up with the 305.
All right. Threw me for a little bit of a loop here because I was going for some numbers here. And I feel that I'm a little heavy in the running backs, but I'm going to go back to this well here and go back to the running back well because I think I think because of where we went to college, you're not going to take him. So I think I'm going to take him. I have him at probably my fourth best running back. So to get him here, I'll take. It's Katron Allen, running back out of Penn State. He's the prototypical NFL-ready Thunder type back, in my opinion, who has elite vision, and he's in the 39th percentile for his athletic profile. He's a short line yardage and goal line work running back. Kind of reminds me of a Ramondre Stevenson. So same thing, day 2, day 3 pick, but I'm going to take him here in what I feel is a steal in the third round.
Me and you both think that's a steal because that was my next pick. I had him 25 on my board, so he was the 301 pick if everything was me. So yeah, good pick there. I was about to take him, and as soon as you said, I don't know why you're not taking him because of the team, I knew who you were taking. So we're going to stay with that same team. And like I said, I love upside. And if you created a quarterback in a lab, you would probably create something similar to Drew Aller. He has the mobility. I'm a huge fan of him as a quarterback. I know he had a horrible year this past year, but you told me one wide receiver that he's had in the last 3 years. That wasn't Tyler Warren, who is not a receiver. He was a tight end. So I just think that getting pro-style wide receivers, pro-ready wide receivers on his team, finally, you can unlock something with the potential that he has. And middle of the third round, taking a quarterback who, in my opinion, could be a starter for a long time, I'm excited.
Well, he paid me back for Katron Allen because that's where I was going.
Took the wrong Penn State guy, man.
No, I did not take the wrong Penn State guy. Let's put it that way. Make that very clear. I didn't take the wrong one. I took the wrong one out of order. Let's put it that way. But nevertheless, I'm going to go back to the tight end well here as well. I'm going to go Baylor tight end Michael Trigg. He's a high-end physical tool. A little bit of a boomer bust type tight end, but I'm still going to take him here. He has an 84-inch wingspan, and he's 91st percentile in arm length. He's a massive, massive catch radius for quarterbacks. Seam routes and red zone fades are going to be his specialty. He excels in slot-heavy receiving. He also came in with some top PFF run blocking grades. So you can get a tight end with some run blocking and elite catch radius. It's somebody who can really come out and break out. I'm going to take Michael Trigg here, my next pick.
I like that pick. At this point, you want to take the tight end that you like. And if that's the guy that after those big 3, in my opinion, it's really who's your guy out of the next few tight ends. So if Michael Trigg is that guy for you, that makes a lot of sense. For me, I am going to take Bryce Lance. Trey Lance's brother. Hopefully he's not a bust like his brother. Well, I mean, it is true. So anyway, out of North Dakota State, he's being comped to Christian Watson, which we're starting to see Christian Watson as being healthy, how good he can be for Green Bay. So Bryce Lance doesn't have any of those health concerns, and going to the NFL, if he's being compared to someone who's starting to figure it out, probably would have figured it out sooner if he wasn't injured all the time. I'm excited for that upside again, and size speed combo is there for him. So I like Bryce Lance at pick 308.
So that puts me at the 309. I'm going to go with my next pick of being Carson Beck, quarterback out of Miami, Florida. He has that NFL caliber type frame and quick release that I really think is going to help him in a NFL level. He's highly experienced. He's a pocket technician who excels at navigating at full field reads. I think he will do well at a pro level. I'm not necessarily calling him the next Tom Brady, but I do think he is definitely the most pro style, pro ready quarterback behind Mendoza and Simpson.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard. I've heard little rumblings that if Aaron Rodgers does not sign back with the Steelers, that he may be a target for the Steelers. And if that's the case, there's not much to beat. We like Will Howard, but who knows? So he may have
I
a
think he
chance to
beats
even
out Will
play.
Howard. I think he beats out Will Howard, in my opinion. I think
I'm,
he's again. I think it's just his frame and his quick release and his ability to read defenses. I think puts him at a level that I would take him as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, it would at least be a conversation in training camp, which is more than what anyone else would be able to say in most positions that they're in. Rookie quarterbacks, correct? After Simpson, you're not really thinking of that. So when I heard that the Steelers may be looking at this guy, I've heard that a little bit about Aller too, but this team's been picking up more on Carson Beck as well because of how much he's played and how well he's done. So it makes sense. So typically, since we're only doing 3 rounds, typically this is where I pick 2 guys, or where I pick my guys who, like, I know it's a drop in a bucket that they may actually do absolutely anything, but if they hit or get an opportunity, they could change your team. With that, I'm going to take Taylor Green, quarterback out of Arkansas. He might not even be a quarterback in the NFL, to be honest, because he is not a very good thrower of the ball. But in fantasy, what do we look for in quarterbacks? Running the ball as well. Now, obviously, you need to be able to throw the ball, and he's not really that good yet. Hopefully, someone can groom him into that. However, if he gets an opportunity and you see him on the field, he is a Justin Fields. Justin Fields might be able to throw the ball a little bit better right now, but he is just dynamic runner, and I will take that opportunity at 310 all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Especially if he may even wind up being a tight end or a wide receiver because he is a bigger quarterback as well. So at 310, we'll take Taylor Green. A little bit off my board, but this is where I kind of take my guys, if that makes sense. The guys that I'm like, okay, if he hits, it's going to be amazing.
All right, for my final pick, I'm going to go with one of the biggest running backs in this class, and I'm going with size. I'm going with Adam Randall. He is 6'3", 235 pounds. Wide receiver convert into running back. So he's kind of the Tyrone Tracy of this class, but way more meat. He's definitely a project player. He's not going to be NFL ready. He will take some time. So again, this is going to be someone who's going to depend on landing spot. I'm not necessarily looking for him to be the starter right away. I'm looking for him to be in a situation where he's going to have to be a rotational back for short yardage hammer. I mean, he's going to be that short yardage hammer. I'd compare him to, say, a comp of like an AJ Dillon. He's definitely a compelling day 3 developmental prospect. So I'm going to go with Adam Randall here with my pick 311.
I like it. And so my last pick, and again, I go with either my guys or guys that I think could end up being guys that should have went in the first round. This guy I've watched a lot. Des Reed out of Pitt. Yes, I know. I'm a homer. I don't care. He is fast, and I believe he's fallen off of the radar because he was injured this past year. But when he was on the field, Pitt won. When he was off the field, Pitt lost. Like, that's just what happened. And I'm hoping he gets some kind of draft capital and an opportunity, because if he gets an opportunity to show his speed and vision, I think someone's going to be very surprised. So I just want to put him on everybody's radar, and that's kind of why I'm doing this right now. Because if you do hear his name, maybe pick him later in your rounds or later in your draft. Last pick for yourself or something like that. Just giving you a heads up. So what do you think about Des Reed, by the way? Homer?
No, man. No, I think this is where I don't like the term homer, because homer, yeah, maybe you are a homer, but that gives you home field advantage, if you will. If you, somebody who watches a lot of football, tells me that this player is of a certain caliber, I'm taking your word for it. I mean, homers are the best ones to trust, because they're not necessarily telling you to take these players their because of their colors, but these quote homers have seen these prospects more than the average man. I like Jeremiah Love. I like Denzel Boston, but have I seen them more than, say, my Michigan State Spartans or my Penn State Nittany Lions, or I'm not seeing them as much because I'm not watching Washington football. Notre Dame's on TV, as you can see, and as you can get it on NBC. And I mean, Jeremiah Love's an easy pick. Why am I going to? Why? Let's not use him. Let's use, say, Michael Trigg, the tight end out of Baylor, or Dedmon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. These are teams that, if somebody from Wake Forest comes at me and says, "Dude, Claiborne is like the third best running back in this class," that's something I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm going to take it seriously, because this is somebody who has watched enough tape just by being a fan of the Wake Forest football team to give me this type of insight. So no, I don't think you're a homer. And if you want to classify yourself as a homer, I'm going to classify it in a positive spin.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I have watched him for 2 or 3 years now. And when he's on the field, he's really fun to watch, man. And actually, during the combine, and this last I'll talk to Des Reed. We're talking too much of Des Reed, I think. But before the combine, he was one of the ones who people were actually putting money on to, as an underdog, to be the fastest running back on the track. For the 40, he ended up not running it, so it didn't matter. But that gives you an idea of the speed that this guy does possess. And I think he has pretty good vision as well. So hopefully it matters. He gets drafted. If not, obviously you don't want to draft him in your dynasty drafts if he's not getting drafted in the first 7 round, or in the 7 round NFL draft. But maybe take a flyer on him if you have a spot open, even though. So that is we went through 36 picks, and we're just going to run through them real quick, kind of tell you from 1 to 36 how the board fell, basically. So number 1 overall, Jeremiah Love. Consensus here. Number 2 overall, Fernando Mendoza. Consensus here, and then everything else just changed. We're never agreeing again. Cornell Tate, number 3. 104 was Jordan Tyson. 105, Mekhi Lemon. 106, Casey Concepcion. 107, Denzel Boston. 108, Kenyon Sadiq. 109, Joda Coleman. 110, Omar Cooper Jr. 111, Eli Stowers. And to round up the first round, Chris Brazzell II out of Tennessee at 112. 201, Elijah Surratt. 202, Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama. 203, Jadarian Price, the second running back in Notre Dame. 204, Nicholas Singleton. 205, Zachariah Branch. 206, Mike Washington Jr. 207, Chris Bell out of Louisville. 208, Ted Hurst, Georgia State. 209, Emmett Johnson from the running back out of Nebraska. 210, Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver out of Alabama. 211, Malachi Fields, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. In 212, the championship pick, as I call it, Skyler Bell, wide receiver out of UConn. That rounds out the first 2 rounds. And the final round, third round, we start out with Damon Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest at 25, 301. 302, we have Jacoby Lane, wide receiver out of USC, the other wide receiver out of USC, as I like to say. 303, Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. 304, I don't know why I keep saying 304, Max Clare, tight end out of Ohio State. 305, Katron Allen, running back, Penn State. 306. Drew Aller, quarterback out of Penn State. We kept it in the same college there. 207, 307, 307. Michael Trigg, tight end, Baylor. 308. Bryce Lance, wide receiver out of North Dakota State. 309. Carson Beck, quarterback out of Miami. 310. Taylon Green, quarterback out of Arkansas. 311. Adam Randall, running back from Clemson. And 312 to round out the draft, we have Des Reed, running back out of Pitt. So, how do you feel we did? What do you think there, Jeremy? Anybody we left off?
No, I think we did pretty good. There's some order that obviously is subject to change. Landing spots subject to change, but I think we did pretty good. I learned a few things in this one, especially with the draft upcoming here in the next day. So yeah, I think we did rather well considering what information we had, considering what knowledge we used, and everything in between. I think we did well.
Yeah, I will say the one person that we didn't draft, who might be the third quarterback taken, is Garrett Nussmeier. Keep him on your radar. We like other quarterbacks better, but if he gets the draft capital that it sounds like he may get, he'll probably be in the first 3 rounds of your dynasty drafts, rookie drafts. So just keep an eye on him. Other than that, I think it's pretty chalk for the most part, with a little bit of flavor added, right? Did you have anything else you want to talk about at all before we get out of here? Draft is happening in a couple days here in Pittsburgh. We're super excited. Can't wait to watch on Thursday night. Hopefully, this helps you guys out with your dynasty teams. And we'll be back in a couple weeks after the draft to do this again and see where the differences lie because of the placements of these players, and also draft capital. So I love doing these kind of things to kind of get our minds set for the draft. And now I'm ready. I can't wait for Thursday night. Ready to crack one open, man.
Yeah, ready to go, man. Let's do it.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Next week, we will be talking all NFL draft review. We'll be talking about all the skill position players that were drafted, at least in the first 2 days, maybe even more than that, depending. But looking forward to that. And then, as always, I'm Mickey for Jeremy. Check us out on Podbean, YouTube, Apple, our socials at dynastymttops, Blue Sky, and X. And then email us at dynastymttops@gmail.com if you have any comments, questions, show ideas. As always, we'll always take those for the off season. And what did you think about our mock draft? Are we insane? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's hear it. But again, for Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty from the Mountaintops. Have a great evening and enjoy that draft.
Thanks a lot, guys.